Right, so it's been a while now since Toyota released the Hilux Conquest, Ford with their Ranger Wildtrak, and Nissan with their Navara Pro 4X. But what about Mitsubishi? Well, they have their own version of those top trim pickup trucks right here. This is the 2022 Mitsubishi Strada Athlete Black Series. Today I'm going to show you around this car. I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Sorry for that short laugh earlier. The reason I laughed is that Mitsubishi called this the Strada Athlete Black Series, but how is it exactly different from the regular Mitsubishi Strada Athlete? Well, surprise, surprise, it is in jet Black Mica. And that is pretty much it. Anyway, going back, this as the Athlete, you get the blacked out dynamic shield grille, you get LED DRLs, LED headlights, and also fog lights down below, but they are made out of halogens. On the side, there are these big fenders, very reminiscent of the older Pajeros or the Monteros, depending on where you live. 18-inch rims, blacked out as well. Disc brakes up front, drum brakes at the back. Standard set of step boards right here. A ground clearance of 220 millimeters as well. And one thing to take note is that for the Strada Athlete, at least, or the Strada in general, you have this line. If you look at the cab, it's called the J line. So Mitsubishi did this to shorten the wheelbase, thereby letting you drive the car easier and parking it, but also still maximize the passenger space inside. That is just pretty cool. You also have the sports bar up top in gloss black. And of course, since it is an athlete trim, you have all these graphics, these decals right here, which does say Strada Athlete. To the back, you get LED tail lamps. You have this spoiler-like effect. Honestly, it looks pretty nice with third brake lamps and step boards as well, plus reverse sensors and a reverse camera. Open up this tailgate and it is quite heavy because it isn't assisted. And right here, you have, unfortunately, one of the lowest, if not the lowest payload capacity in its class at 945 kilograms. The size though, well, it's at 1,150 liters, not bad. But at least you do get, as standard, a bed liner. That way you don't scratch up the bed of your truck. For the power plant of the Mitsubishi Strada is a very familiar engine if you're coming from a Mitsubishi Montero Sport. This is still the same 2.4-liter turbocharged diesel engine with MIVEC making 181 horsepower and 430 newton meters of torque. Made it to a 6-speed automatic transmission with Super Select 4-wheel drive Gen 2. Now we climb inside the Mitsubishi Strada Athlete and check the door. Sounds not bad actually, it's about okay. The interior of the Mitsubishi Strada Athlete, because it is the Athlete trim, there is a lot of two-toneness here on the inside. There's a lot of these brown, there's also the Athlete embroidery embroidered onto the seats in black, and it looks pretty good. It reminds me of a lot of Mazdas, a lot of European cars, Mercedes even from way back. I just love the color scheme in here. There are a couple of piano blacks on the side and this aluminum looking trim on the center, but it really is the orange and all the stitching that really gets me. I love it. The steering wheel is leather wrapped, multi-function with paddle shifters too, and you can tilt and telescope it. The instrument cluster is rather easy to read, although rather basic, and you also have your trip computer down the middle. There is way more hard touch plastics over here, but again, that is about at par with the rest of the cars in this class. What isn't at par though is this 7-inch touchscreen towards the center. Now the thing about it is that it doesn't get Apple CarPlay, it doesn't get Android Auto, and that's okay. However, what I don't like about it is that when you are playing music, Bluetooth, or the radio, and you put your car into reverse, the backup camera comes up. In most cars, what happens is that it just lessens the volume of your music, that we can hear the beep beeps of your reverse sensors. But for this one, it completely cuts out the music. Minor annoyance, but that's about alright. The reverse camera, by the way, is about acceptable. Dual zone climate control. Down below here is a rotary knob, and this is for your 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, for high, for low. Also gets a locking diff, by the way. 2 cup holders, a pretty big center parking brake. And what I love about this is that you get 8-way power adjustments for the driver's seat. Unfortunately, the passenger seat just gets manual adjustments. The bolsterings, I don't know, they feel rather comforting. They kind of just hug you on my love handles, but it's not too tight either. And the leather on the seats themselves, they are pretty damn soft. As for features inside the Mitsubishi Strada Athlete, you get 6 speakers, 7 airbags, and the usual safety stuff such as ABS with EBD, stability control, and you also get trailer stability assist and ultrasonic, misacceleration, mitigation, plus forward collision warning, rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, hill descent control, and hill start assist. Before we climb in onto the back seats, do take note that these seats, they don't raise up from the bottom. You don't get underfloor or underseat storage like other pickup trucks. Instead, this back bench does fold over, revealing some tiny place to put some things or some tools. Anyway, let's put it back and now enter the back seats. You do get a grab handle on either side, which is perfect. And let's check the door thud. Now that sounds really good. I love these short doors. Once you're back here, you will like the seats of the Mitsubishi Strada. This is quite rare for a lot of pickup trucks to have really comfortable rear seats, but this one is pretty comfortable. Thigh support is great, and the recline is just about all right. You also get this rather thick and that armrest is pretty plush, and you also get two cup holders, but they are quite tiny. Up here is a very eccentric looking air vent for your extra set of blowers right here. They have these like flaps, and they can be adjusted for the left and right side. It's kind of odd, but yeah, it's good to have air vents at least at the back. Two map pockets, great leg room. Headroom, yeah, that's about okay. It's a bit smaller than most pickup trucks though, so if you're above 6 feet tall, yeah, maybe you can struggle a little bit back here. And if you want to see 3 people back here, you can kind of do it. The center tunnel isn't that high, and the car feels moderately wide, so overall not bad. Oh, by the way, another thing, you do get this giant cubby space here for a couple of phones or wallet, and also 2 USB ports. So now we drive the Mitsubishi Strada Athlete Black Series. I love the way that the Strada drives because, first of all, the engine. There is so much power on tap. Just put your foot down and it really goes. The transmission is quite responsive too. Overtakes will be a joy when you do drive the Strada. In fact, this car, I would compare the power rather similarly, believe it or not, to a Ford Ranger Raptor. Yes, power figures are a little bit down compared to that car, but it really doesn't feel like it when you are driving this because the torque pull that this gives you, even in two-wheel drive mode, is pretty good. Shove this on over to 4 high and you just gun it. Man, the grip it does is pretty good. I really love the super select shifting that Mitsubishi has been doing for decades now because, I mean, you can easily just change it up from 2 to 4. It's that easy. Next up, the handling of the Strada is actually quite excellent, probably the best in its class. The way this car turns, it doesn't feel like it is such a massive and long vehicle. It simply just sucks up all those bends, and although there's a little bit of a roll, it's not too bad. It is pretty good when it comes to handling. The steering though, yes, it is light, but my only slight issue with the steering is that it's not the most direct out there. So although your handling is good, you don't exactly know where the front tires are pointing. And also, I find the steering ratio to be a little bit too high in a sense that you can turn the steering wheel so much times and the wheel on the ground will barely move. So if you're not one to like keep turning your wheel, you might not exactly love the steering inside the Strada Athlete Black Series. Now, what about the suspension inside the Strada? Well, with the exception of the Nissan Navara, the suspension in this one is probably the best, again, next to the Navara. On bad roads, it doesn't really jiggle you about too much. Okay, it does slightly, but it's much better than other pickup trucks, and although it slightly jiggles you, it doesn't hurt. There's no shock waves that is absorbed by your body. The only time that you would really feel that, oh yeah, this is a pickup truck with pickup truck leaf spring suspension is when you go over slightly higher and taller speed bumps. The way that the front goes down, it's fine, but the way that the rear part kind of crashes down, yeah, that's the only harsh part about it. Now that we're here on the highway, I was expecting that power wouldn't be as explosive as how you would have it in the city, but surprisingly, even if you're already going at like 80 or 90 kilometers per hour and you just want to overtake, oh yeah, the Strada definitely rewards you with a lot of power on tap. And the transmission too, whether or not you use your paddle shifters, they are still pretty quick to respond, even here at highway speeds. Noise-wise, in the city, it's really quiet. On the highway, road noise is virtually non-existent. However, for some reason, if you're going around 90 kilometers per hour or so, there seems to be a lot of wind noise entering through this window right here. I reckon that it is because of the shape of these side mirrors. What about vibrations? Not much. Even if you're at idle, you don't get too much of that diesel vibration. There is just that slight groan. It's nothing too annoying. Maneuvering the Strada is also pretty easy, both in town and on the highway. Remember, in town, my only complaint would be that high steering ratio, but overall, the car isn't too long, and you do have that reverse camera, thank God for it, which really helps you when you are backing up. On the highway, it's pretty easy. It tracks pretty good too, and it's not too finicky. It doesn't shake and rattle about in terms of steering. Finally, we have to talk about fuel economy. The Strada in the city is about at par with the rest of the competition, giving you around 7.1 kilometers per liter. Take it up over here to the highway and you can average around 15.1 kilometers per liter. The Mitsubishi Strada Athlete, especially in this generation, is slightly aging now. Despite that, it can still hold itself pretty well with decent enough features and also a great power plant plus pretty good comforts to back it up. Honestly, this is still a great deal even in 2022.